If you've ever thought about owning and driving an electric-powered car, but weren't sure if you were ready to transition from the tried-and-true gasoline-powered vehicles you've driven all your life, then the parking lot behind Bennington Station was the place to be on Wednesday, September 18th. Green Mountain Power, the state's largest electric utility, and the Bennington County Regional Commission teamed up to host an event designed to highlight how far electric vehicle technology has come in the past few years and display some of the vehicle choices consumers have if going electric is something they are considering. Several owners of electric vehicles, like Bonnie Condon of Bennington, were on hand to talk about why they opted in to an electric car.
I wasn't really planning to buy an electric vehicle. I had a Subaru Outback that I really liked. And so it was thinking about climate change and thinking about all the things that I am doing to help with that effort. And I was thinking, I wish I could do more. And a little voice in my head said, you can do more. You can buy an electric vehicle. So I just started looking that day, and it didn't take me very long at all to settle on the Bolt. First of all, it was the range, the battery range. I had been put off from buying an electric vehicle before because the ranges weren't really practical. They're okay for around town, but they weren't enough to go on a trip. And, so you could drive for a few hours and then stop and charge up. So this has that. It has enough of a range. The year-round average is about 238 miles per charge. And also I like that it's a hatchback, so it's really practical. I like the size of it. And it was quite a stretch. I haven't bought an American car in years. But I love the Bolt,
Range anxiety, a term used to describe the distance a motorist can travel before needing to recharge the battery of an electric vehicle, is no longer quite as big a concern, or need not be, several owners we talked with said. Newer models get more than 200 miles on a charge, and with more charging stations coming online and being able to recharge a car overnight from home, means that's less of an issue.
We bought this one a year and a half ago, and it was the only one that had, in my price range, that could give me the mile radius that I really wanted to have. So they advertise 238 miles per charge, or per full charge. We actually get in the 250 and sometimes 260 range, depending upon how we drive it. This is all electric, so there's no gas components, no oil, none of that stuff. It's got a battery under the seats, and its acceleration is exceptional. So it's not like a Prius C where you worry about getting around somebody if you're going to try and pass them. This can pass anything on the road. And the braking system or the charging system acts as a braking all the time. As soon as you take your foot off the accelerator, you're in charging mode. So I was saying earlier that we go down to do our business in the town and end up having about the same charge as when we left. So it's costing us nothing to do our errands. And when we do need a charge, we have solar panels that feed it. So we are in essence not putting anything into the environment or not using fossil fuels at all.
What's immediately noticeable to a driver who's never driven an electric vehicle is how quiet it is. That was the first reaction when we took a Hyundai Kona out for a test drive around the block to check one out. It's amazing how silent the engine is. That's really, it's almost like confusing. All right, so out we go to Depot Street. At least the turn signals are the same as what I'm used to. That's all.
You will find that there are very many similarities, except for the fact that, number one, you're not hearing the engine, and number two, you're not adding any carbon emissions or greenhouse gases.
Well, I imagine for a lot of people that's a big selling point for these, is that it's so environmentally clean and everything. Now, what about the range anxiety bit? I mean, that's what I keep on hearing about. My understanding is that there's a lot more capacity than there used to be, but I mean, can you go like 200 miles on a single charge?
Yes.
Or
Well, and it also depends on weather and climate. You know, so a good example is I drove a Chevy Bolt down today. I started out, I had a full charge with 241 miles. And instead of taking Route 7 all the way down through and dealing with the higher hills south of Manchester, I actually took 7A and came down that way. So when I got here, I had decreased from the 241 initially down to 223. So I went 50 plus miles and only used 20 miles of electricity.
So the car recharges itself while it's driving?
Yes, it actually regenerates. But keep in mind, on a day like today, I didn't have the air conditioning on or the heat on, and I just was enjoying the ride. Windows cracked just a little bit and off and running.
Jen Cortez of Green Mountain Power described some of the incentives that the utility is offering in hopes of enticing more drivers to get behind the wheel of an EV.
So we have a couple of things going on which are really cool. We have today $1,500 if customers that Green Mountain Powers buy an all-electric vehicle, and $1,000 if you buy a hybrid, so pure electric brand new. If you buy a used all-electric or hybrid, you get $750 back. If you purchase from a partnering dealership, they take that off the top price, so you don't have to file any paperwork. They take care of that for you, which is really kind of cool. However, next week is Climate Change Week. So during Climate Change Week, we're offering $2,000 back to customers who purchase a pure electric vehicle. So that's the all electric only, no gas backup concept during the week of climate change. It's September 21st to the 27th. So, and to add to that, we also offer home chargers. So if Green Mountain Power customers purchase an electric vehicle and let us know, and they have a little button or a little box on their form that they say, I'm interested in an electric vehicle home charger. We deploy home chargers to customers level 2 charging. So it cuts your charge time in half versus the 120 outlet cord that comes with your car. So when you buy a car, it comes with the cord, plug it in at home on a 120 normal outlet. You don't have to do anything fancy. The level 2 unit allows you to charge in half the time. So the piece of that level 2 unit that we're particularly fond of is it allows us connectivity to the unit on occasion. So we held what we call an event where we may shut the charger off itself. We don't attach to the car, we just tell the charger not to deliver electricity during peak electric draw times to help us reduce the draw on the grid and not have to buy power at high end cost, which ultimately saves our customers on their total kilowatt hour cost.
Vermont has set out several ambitious energy conservation and environmental goals, and if the ones centering around fossil fuels are to be met, boosting the number of electric cars on the road would seem to be necessary, said Jim Sullivan, the executive director of the Bennington County Regional Commission.
Well, we've obviously done a lot of work in energy planning for the regional energy plan, and then working with municipalities on their energy plans. And recurring theme in those energy plans is that our biggest energy user in Vermont and in our communities is in the transportation sector. And so to really have an impact on energy efficiency and reducing greenhouse gas emissions, we need to tackle the transportation sector. So anything we can do, and electric vehicles is just one part of it. There's bicycle, pedestrian, and public transportation, and settlement patterns, and all the rest. But electric vehicles is going to be a big part of that. So we have an interest in moving that forward.
On that front, there's a way to go yet. About 3,300 electric vehicles are currently registered throughout the state. The Comprehensive Energy Plan calls for having 10% of all registered vehicles be electrically powered by 2025. In 2016, there were about 230,000 cars registered in Vermont, so assuming the number of car registrations doesn't change much over the next 5 or so years, that would suggest that nearly 30,000 registered vehicles would need to be EVs, roughly 10 times as many as we currently have, in order to meet that target. For the GNAT TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.